Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast, where we believe there is a produce mom in all of us. I'm Lori Taylor, founder and CEO of the Produce Moms. For 10 years, I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the U.S. And today, my team and I are fully focused on inspiring people to eat more fruits and vegetables. This show is just one of the ways that we hope to inspire you and your family to eat more produce and live a better life. If you like what you're hearing on the podcast, join our community of almost 40,000 in all 50 states and over 30 countries by visiting theproducemoms.com/subscribe. And be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes. Thanks for being here. Enjoy today's show. Welcome back, everyone. It's another edition of the Produce Moms Podcast, and I have one of my absolute favorite people in the whole produce industry as today's guest. For those of you who are avid followers of the work that we do at the Produce Moms, you will remember when in 2018, I personally visited Christopher Ranch, which is an iconic garlic farm in California, third generation actually. And I am so excited that today on the show, we have Ken Christopher of Christopher Ranch with us as our guest. Ken is a third generation garlic farmer, and he is here today to help tell the story of his family, of garlic. I know I'm not alone when I say it's one of my very favorite things to add to almost any recipe. So without further ado, Ken, thank you for being here. Welcome to the Produce Moms Podcast.
Hey, Lori. So happy to be chatting with you today.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's so great to hear your voice and to reconnect. I truly enjoyed my time with you and your family in Gilroy visiting the ranch in 2018.
We love having you there.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I learned so much, which is why, you and I have been trying to connect for quite some time on this podcast recording. So it's great that our schedules have jived and here we're doing it. You guys, Ken and his family have the most amazing story for how they brought, garlic to the U.S. And Ken, why don't we just start there? How long has your family been farming garlic? And tell us a little bit more about the Christopher family.
Sure thing. So everything got started in the 1880s. That's when my great-great-grandfather, Ole Christopher, migrated from Denmark to California, and he got his start initially in prunes. So for a couple of generations, we were one of the larger prune farmers in San Jose, California, which used to be the cannery capital of the world long before it became the heart of Silicon Valley. Well, When my grandfather came of age, he had quite enough of prunes, and he wanted to strike out and kind of forge his own identity. So he came down to Gilroy, California, where there were a couple other farmers growing garlic, and Gilroy has the perfect Mediterranean climate, much like in Spain or Italy that garlic really thrives in. And so he got his start on just 10 acres of garlic, and from there, he grew year by year, expanding slowly, to today, we're on 5,700 acres of garlic. So from 10 acres to now, it's been an incredible ride. And this year, we're proud to announce that we harvested 110 million pounds of California heirloom garlic.
Woo, I didn't realize.
Yeah, our biggest crop in company history.
That's amazing. And you actually surpassed what you guys were anticipating, because when I was at the farm in 2018, it was, we're anticipating 100 million pounds. And you just said 100 million, 10%
of our forecast.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, so what happened, thank you. What happened was we got just enough what we call cold units the previous December, January, February. So the garlic really got incredible vigor. And so yields were just through the roof.
What's vigor?
Essential strength, just industry term.
Oh, yeah, got it. Okay, so not necessarily a farming term. It's just, right. Yeah, got it. Okay. Tell us a little more. I know this from visiting. It seems like it's a true family affair at Christopher Ranch. I mean, I met your whole family tree when I was visiting.
You certainly did.
How the Christopher family is still involved today with the day-to-day.
Oh, sure thing. The Christopher Ranch is the nation's only family-owned garlic farm remaining. And so you have my grandfather in the office, you have my father in the office, you have me, you have my cousin, Jason, who works in our facilities department, you have my cousin Jeff, who heads up our sales, my godmother is our field manager. We're all over the place.
Yeah, no, and I can definitely vouch for that, you guys. Every single person I met when I visited Christopher Ranch, Ken was able to say, this is my cousin, my godmother, my best friend, it's just like any family business operates. Just happens to be at a very impressive scale. So
Yeah.
congratulations on your successful year.
Yeah, we've made it 3 generations, and we hope to go on into perpetuity. To us, it's so critically important not to have to be beholden to, a faceless corporate board or faceless directors that are interested only in profits. As a truly family-run company, we can do what's best for our product, we can do what's best for our legacy, and what's best for our community.
Yeah, and you know what? I will say, Ken, you mentioned that, and I'm reminded as someone who I really enjoy following Christopher Ranch on social media. I keep a pulse, as you guys can all imagine, on many of the brands of the produce department on social media. But if there's one brand you guys follow, check out Christopher Ranch for the exact reason that Ken just stated. I love seeing what you guys do for the community and how you share that, impact and story on your social. You mind elaborating a little bit on how
sure thing.
business is connected to the local community?
Sure thing. So what's most important, the key driver for our philanthropy and for our hearts is, at the end of the day, is education. We find education to be the silver bullet for so many of our society's ills. And making investments like providing the land for a new comprehensive high school for Gilroy, California, which gratefully they named Christopher High, so we're very proud of that.
Wow, yeah.
Or providing hundreds of thousands of dollars in scholarships to our community youth, or donating vehicles for their sports programs, or providing Chromebooks for every classroom. We want to make sure that our kids in our community have every benefit. We even have on-site daycare right here at the ranch. So our employees are able to come to work and have a safe place for their kids to kind of grow and learn.
Yeah, I was able to see the daycare myself, you guys, and it is, talk about an incredible benefit. I know I'm not the only mom out there who struggled to find daycare for my child when I was working in the office setting and before my children were of school age. So really the authentic compassion that Ken and his family have for their community, for their employees, it's real. And it's one of the reasons I love buying Christopher Ranch garlic and all of the products that you guys offer. From the intro of the show, you guys know that I sold fresh produce to over 300 grocery stores in the United States. And one of my favorite memories from the sales desk was, it was when the country of origin labeling law went into effect, Ken. So I don't remember the exact year, probably the early 2000s. I believe
2000s. It was 2007.
Okay. So when that law went into effect, as you can imagine, a lot of my retail customers were asking me, where is that garlic from? And I would just do a quick look in the, inventory guide, the software we had to manage the warehouse. And I would look it up, see that we sourced it from Christopher Ranch. And my line to them was, well, it's USA grown when it's grown by Christopher Ranch.
That's absolutely right. All Christopher Ranch garlic products are grown in California.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so not just USA grown, California grown.
Yes. Unfortunately, the rest of the country doesn't necessarily have the right temperature or the right biome for garlic cultivation. Mm-hmm. So over 95% of all the garlic grown in the U.S. is grown probably within a couple 100-mile radius of Gilroy, California.
Okay. Yeah, good to know. And it comes back to what you said previously about the climate. So perfect Mediterranean climate. I love it.
It certainly is, yeah.
And it is. I've been there, you guys. It definitely does have that nice Mediterranean climate, and a beautiful odor too. It smells like fresh garlic, which I love. I don't know about Ken Christopher agrees with me.
You could almost marinate a steak by hanging out your window on the freeway here.
Isn't that the truth? I love it. You always know when you're driving, when you're approaching Gilroy in your car, when you're driving. From San Francisco to Salinas, you're like, oh, I'm almost to Gilroy. I can smell the garlic. All right. So I do want to ask you something about, from the days at the sales desk and with you saying, reaffirming that still today, 100% of your garlic is California grown. Another thing I learned from following you on social media is that you personally, Ken, are involved in some political action work in DC. So Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Were you working on Farm Bill that
I'm
just
happy to talk about that.
Yeah, great.
So our biggest competition since the 1990s has been Chinese garlic exporters that have illegally dumped hundreds of millions of dollars worth of dumped garlic on our shores. And so The last couple years, the market has been pretty tight. They had some weather complications in China, so their yields were down. But this last season, their yields skyrocketed, much like ours, and they started dumping again. So from December until September of this year, there was extreme turbulence in the overall garlic market because while there isn't necessarily a connection between Chinese garlic and California, there is a connection between Chinese garlic and, say, garlic from Argentina, from Mexico, from Spain. So when Chinese garlic is illegally dumped, it pulls down the price of those international commodities, which then introduces a very real threat to us. So, for example, we recently lost a major retailer on the eastern seaboard because the price of Spanish garlic fell so fast by over 50% that their produce buyers simply couldn't turn, they had to take the option in order to appease their bosses and their corporate overlords. And so it's something that we continually deal with. And so we wanted to make sure to do everything we can to push back. So in August of this year, I flew to Washington, D.C. I met with congressmen and their staff from both sides of the aisle to try to build a bipartisan solution to this, requesting that they submit letters to the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Commerce, the Department of Customs, to do everything we can to make sure that we're getting enforcement on this illegally dumped Chinese garlic. And the same week, I testified to the Office of the United States Trade Representative to try to make sure that a tariff got slapped on Chinese imports coming inbound. And I'm happy to report that as of September 24th, I believe, the tariff is in effect.
Woohoo! Good job. I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, pretty proud of that.
You should be. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And that helps everyone. I mean,
It really does. It helps all domestic garlic farmers.
Right. Of any size, correct?
Exactly right. It's in all of our best interest to keep illegally dumped Chinese garlic out of our country. So since September, I have exciting news to report. Demand for our product has skyrocketed. We're actually breaching 2017 levels, and that was the breakthrough year for the company. So coming into 2019, we have endless optimism for what the future holds.
Well, I'm right there with you. I believe in you. I believe in Christopher Ranch. I personally request your product by brand name when I'm buying garlic, even if it's bulk garlic. I want that assurance that it was grown by Christopher Ranch. Yes. So I have a quick question, because you guys have a lot of products beyond the traditional, head of garlic, the bulk garlic. Tell us a little bit more about your other products. The roasted garlic that I had the pleasure of sampling when I was right there visiting the ranch. But I also want to know, Ken, does your 100% California grown carry over into your non-bulk garlic items?
Absolutely. So when we're doing fresh garlic, peeled garlic, roasted garlic, chopped garlic, pureed garlic, vacuum sealed garlic, or one of the dozens of different things we do with our products, it is all sourced from the USA.
Cool. Good.
And actually, I have a fun little story about our peeled garlic.
Tell it.
So in the early 1980s, we were only doing fresh garlic. The idea of peeled garlic just simply didn't exist. We had a small crew cleaning out our production facility, and there were some buckets, plastic buckets, with some cloves of garlic in the bottom. Well, when they went to go clean it out using compressed air hoses, the garlic whipped around, and they discovered that the skin just fell right off. So they ran to my grandfather, told him all about it, and within months, we had the nation's first industrial air peeler. And so from there, peeled garlic begat jarred garlic, begat roasted garlic. I mean, it was really the genesis of who we are today. Yeah,
and it is. And that is one of the most remarkable parts of my experience at the ranch was actually, you can't necessarily put your head into the wind tunnel by any means and really check it out. I know that you guys have some videos that show it, but even just peeking in and seeing that, that powerful wind tunnel peeling the garlic. My favorite thing is the fact that I can buy your peeled garlic and know that not a single hand has touched it in the process other than, picking it out of the field, but it wasn't hand peeled by someone with dirty hands. You know what I mean?
Exactly right. Yeah, a lot of people are a little bit confused about peeled garlic. They assume that chemicals were used or that it's, less fresh than fresh garlic. And I always try to assure them that only air and water has been in contact with that product.
Right. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. And it's true. I saw it with my own eyes, you guys. It's absolutely true. So I will say that, from my perspective, I love seeing you, Ken, rise as a leader within your family business. I think you are exactly the type of leader that not only Christopher Ranch needs, but our whole industry. A lot of gratitude and admiration for what you did in DC this fall. And I hope that our paths will cross in DC soon. I do some political action that relates to child nutrition policies. So I think you're doing really important work that matters the most. And that's exactly
I really appreciate that.
Yes. And that's exactly the kind of person we're trying to, showcase here on the Produce Moms podcast, are the movers and shakers that are building the mission that we have at TPM, which is to increase the consumption of fruits and vegetables. So we can't close out the episode with a third generation garlic farmer without asking this question. What's your favorite way to eat garlic?
My favorite way to eat garlic. Well, I'm a simple guy, so I would have to say just garlic bread.
I know, right?
Growing up, every single meal had garlic bread. It was the one constant in my life.
Well, do you have so when you make your garlic bread, do you use like olive oil? Do you use butter?
It's very simple. It's chopped garlic, a little butter, microwave it, apply to French bread, and broil.
Oh, well, that is simple. Everyone on the show can do that. I love that.
But it is so good. I mean, maybe just because it's such an essential part of my childhood, it's kind of funny being a Christopher. Your identity is tied with a piece of produce, which, growing up, that was second nature to me. But as, I encountered different people throughout my life, when I moved to San Francisco, when I was in college in San Diego, they were flabbergasted that someone could be so intrinsically tied to a vegetable.
Right. No, I love it. Well, you're doing great things. You're truly a rising star within the entire global produce industry. You're someone that I'm very honored to call a colleague and a friend. And I'm now so thrilled to say, hey, King Christopher, he was on the podcast. So this has been a real joy for me to have you on. But like all of our shows, we always kind of throw the mic back to our guests and let you have the final word and, sign off. But truly, Ken, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your time and for sharing your story here on our podcast.
Thank you, Lori. It was a privilege to be part of this. The one thing I would probably say is that I'm learning through social media and through different channels that more and more people nationwide are demanding to know where their produce is coming from. And I just want to say, for all of you out there that really want American-grown products, go to your grocery stores, talk to your produce managers, write letters. It makes a tremendous difference. A lot of times our hands are tied from where we can have access to different markets for our all-American garlic. And that's down to the produce buyer. So it's up to consumers out there to rise up and make their voices known.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Produce Moms Podcast. If you or someone you know would like to be a featured guest, just send an email to lori@theproducemoms.com. We know there is a produce mom in you because there's a produce mom in all of us. Join our community on Facebook and all social platforms. Help us change the way America eats. Thanks again for listening, and we'll see you next time.